the Wilson cartridge case gauge. After you unbox your gauge, you're going to notice you have a detailed instruction sheet. Please read through that, as I'm not going to cover all the details on how to use a gauge. A storage bag and box so you can oil up your gauge and put it back in here when you're not using it. I have 3 cases over here: a fired case, a fired and resized case, and then a new piece of brass, factory round. This gauge measures 2 things: minimum, maximum headspace on this side, minimum, maximum case length. This is a .010 or 10,000th groove. The headspace side is a .005 or 5,000th groove. Make sure you clean the gauge up real good with some solvent, wipe it down, make sure it's free of debris. After you do that, you take your fired case and you plunk it in the gauge. And this example is by feel. So right now I can tell that it's above maximum. I can use a straight edge to verify that. So this tells me I'm probably .001 or 2 over maximum. I take a fired case that's been resized in my full length sizing die without making any adjustments. You'll notice I don't hit the case here. I'm probably exactly even with minimum. So without doing anything, I just sized my case .007 or .006. For my application, I would like to see a .002 pushback. So I'm going to make an adjustment on the thread on my sizing die in order to accommodate that. If you don't know, headspace is defined as a datum point on the shoulder, here somewhere, back to the head. So that's what this gauge measures. It's a one-piece gauge, no moving parts, and that makes it very dependable. Now if we take the new brass and plunk it in the gauge, I can see that it's sitting slightly below the minimum. And that's pretty normal and typical for factory brass to have headspace slightly below the min. Every caliber is different, but it's very common. Now on the case length side, this case length side here, I'm going to measure the case length after I fired and resized my brass. I want to see how much it grew. Not enough to go to the maximum step, but enough to go above the minimum. So I have a choice. Do I want to trim all my brass down to the minimum? Or do I want to go through one more firing and then trim them all the same after that? That would be shooter preference. You may want to play with case lengths that work better for your chamber, but in our application, I would probably go through on my first firing and trim them all to min so I have a good starting point for all of my cases. And that's how easy it is to use the Wilson case gauge. Thanks for watching.